Here's what you'll need for your negative space painting. You'll need one color of acrylic paint, one larger flat brush, a small to medium sized round brush, a paper towel, a jar of water, a scrap paper or another paper towel to lay your paper on, and a tray or paint palette. First, you'll put a little bit of paint in your tray, probably about a $1/2 to a quarter size. You'll wet your smaller round brush, wipe it off on your paper towel, and then dip it in the paint. You only want to dip the hairs in the paint. You don't want the paint to go up to the ferrule, which is the metal part. You'll lay the brush alongside the outline of your drawing, and you'll pull it towards you. So we're pulling the brush to keep the bristles all straight. All the little hairs will follow the brush as you pull it, and you should have a straight line. Don't push your brush down into the paper because it'll make the little hairs spray out and you'll have a glob of paint. So you'll drag the paint towards you and you'll go along the outline. Then, as you paint, you will feather the paint out away so you don't have a hard line of paint. You'll keep going, add more paint, keep pulling the brush along the outline, and then as you paint, drag it away from the edge. And what happens is the paint gets thinner and it doesn't make a hard ridge of paint where the paint stops. You can turn your hand different ways, but you're always pulling the brush. Never push the brush. What I'm doing now is I'm spreading the paint out so it gets thinner and thinner as it goes away from my outline. Continue this for the rest of the outline of the area that you're painting. And then the little round brush is great for getting in the details. Always remember that you are pulling the brush towards you, or it's pulling. If you push, what happens is the hairs spray out, you get paint everywhere, and it also ruins the brush. So you can use the tip of the round brush to get into tight places, and as you paint, make sure you're pulling, and then when you get away from the outline, you will drag it out so the paint gets thinner and thinner so you do not have a hard line of paint where the paint stops. So I'm feathering it out. There I am going around the outline. I'm getting this whole section filled in. Outlining your drawing with paint takes the longest time. So don't get discouraged if this takes a while. It's probably going to take a little bit of time, but once you get to the middle section, the wide open spaces, it goes a lot faster. So I went ahead and I got my outlines in. Now I'm cleaning off my brush. This paint is plastic based, so it will harden in the brush and destroy your brush if you don't wash your brush out. Now I'm wiping my brush off. Then I'm going to switch to the bigger flat brush. So bigger flat brush, and now I'm going to dip it in the water and I'm going to wipe it off, dry it off some so that it's damp, and then dip it in my paint and I'm going to fill in the big background area. Remember, when you dip your brush, don't dip it all the way up to the metal part. That way the paint doesn't get inside the ferrule. Go ahead and lay your brush on your paper and you're going to fly. This is the best part. It is fast. If you are about instant gratification, you will love this part. So you're pulling the brush still. Right here, I'm not pushing it with the tip going away from me. I'm pulling it with the handle. So pulling the handle and I'm painting right onto that scrap paper. So you're going to paint off the edge of your painting, all the way off the edge onto your scrap paper. Just hold your paper in place with your other hand and you'll paint all the way off the edge. If you see that areas of your paint look thinner than others, that's okay. What we'll do is we're going to have to paint at least 2 layers, and the second layer will help even that out. You'll go ahead and make the paint as even and flat as possible. As you near the outline of your drawing, you'll feather it out so that it will be thinner towards your outline. While you have the big flat brush in your hand, try this. You can block in the background area, but as you close in, getting closer to your outlines, thin out the paint, feather it out some so that there's not a hard line. Don't go all the way up to the edge with your big brush. We'll switch to our smaller brush for that. Do you see how I'm feathering out the paint? I'm making it thinner and thinner so there's not a hard ridge of paint as it goes towards my drawing. As you paint, you may get carried away and then accidentally get some paint in one of the spaces you didn't intend to. So what you do is you leave it there. You don't try to wipe it off. It's going to make it worse. So leave it there. We will doctor it up and make it neater looking in a bit, but go ahead and continue on painting with your brush, feathering it out as you get closer to the outline. When you're done with your big brush, you're going to rinse it out really well. If your water is getting really dirty, you can go ahead and change it out. It'll help clean your brushes better. There you go. So clean water. I got my small brush now. I'm going to make sure that the brush is damp before I use it. Make sure all the hairs are straight. And then I'm going to dip the tip into the paint and I'm going to go back along my outline. You'll notice that areas that you painted just a few minutes before are pretty dry. It may take about 5 minutes for this paint to dry. So by the time you come back around, the paint is ready to go. So the same thing applies when you're doing the background first and then the outlines. You'll outline and then you'll feather it out. What you don't want, see those little ridges right there? You don't want ridges of paint. So this is why we feather out the paint. Just like that. So you'll take it, you'll feather it out and let it get thinner and thinner as it goes away from the outline. It will overlap onto your background and produce a nice thinned out area. It may take some time to do this, but keep on working. You need to work pretty fast because as you're working, that paint is drying. So work fast and then go ahead and go around the entire painting, hit your outlines and then feather it out into the background. You'll work your way all the way around, replenish your paint as needed, just about a quarter size. You don't need as much this time because it's already soaked into the paper some. Hit your outlines, feather it out, then use the tip of your brush to get in the little crevices. The round brush is perfect for this. If you have made a mistake, go back and make it look neat. I guarantee you hardly anybody will notice if you do not tell them. So go ahead and just make it look like it was meant to be and then keep on going. So what I'm doing is I'm making it look neat. I'm cutting in. It's starting to look like one of the leaves I had outlined before. Now the line may show underneath it, but instead of trying to wipe it away, I'm working with it and just rolling with the punches. I'm adapting and overcoming, and I'm adopting it into my artwork. So I'm continuing on, I'm moving on, I'm hitting the outlines and feathering it out, and then going back in with the tip of the round brush and tucking it into all those little tiny spaces. So the round brush is great for this. The tip is really small. If you have too much paint, you can wipe it off on your paper towel and then just use the tip to tuck it into the little spaces and just keep on going. All is said and done, every once in a while, just wash your brush out, and then once you get back around, go for it again. Apply another layer. You're going to repeat this until the background of your paint and your outlines are nice and solid. So as you can see, as I apply more layers of paint, you can't see through it. It's getting more and more solid. There you go. That's it. As you overlap between the big brush and the small, you are feathering out towards the outlines and vice versa. So you have nice, smooth application of your paint. And there you go. You have painted. So congratulations, rock it. I know you will. Proud of you guys. These are looking great. Take your time and have fun. It won't take long for this painting to dry. Just leave it flat until it dries. It probably will dry by the time you get done cleaning up. Make sure you wash everything out and then take your fingers and with your clean brushes, you're just going to smooth out the little hairs until they're all straight in a row. The end.